Hi there, Mark Emery here with my associate David Levine. And by the way, David and I are celebrating 7 years of activism ourselves. And that's a great congratulations, David.
On this block.
David's going to the Supreme Court for our resumed hearing about the marijuana laws in Canada. We'll go to the Canada Supreme Court probably in May or I suspect June after the spring session of the Canadian House of Commons, whereby they're supposed to come up with some legislation. And lots of exciting things to look for in 2003. In fact, I think 2003 is going to be a watershed year. We go to the Canadian Supreme Court. The House of Commons is going to debate some degree of legislation decriminating marijuana in some way or another. We'll see. Allegedly, you'll be able to grow a few plants in your home and maybe possess 30 grams with a fine. That's where we're going at the Canadian level. That doesn't seem like much. On the other hand, compared to the United States, it doesn't seem so bad. We haven't had any increased militarization in Canada.
Knock on wood.
And the American war on us has been kept mostly south of the border, with some influence bleeding over into Canada. And
more spine from our politicians. I haven't noticed so many people telling the U.S. to just take a flying leap in so long.
And we don't mean you, our American viewers,
no,
who
just
are
the U.S. government
and hiding behind your computer screen in fear. We mean the federal government of the United States. And heck, there's a lot of guys. I met U.S. Governor Gary Johnson of New Mexico. Fabulous guy. Really liked him. He posed with me in a photograph proudly, and I said, "You sure this won't ruin your political career?" And he says, "Don't worry about me. Worry about it ruining your political career." And whereas drug czar John Walters turned totally red and purple when, after having a photograph of he and I together, he said, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm Mark Emery, publisher of Cannabis Culture magazine." And boy, did he walk away, and those Secret Service guys close in fast.
Yepers.
And but we're reviewing the year 2000.
Well, that was some of the highlights I picked out. It just so happens there's so many corresponding words that come to mind when I think of every month of this year and what happened during that month.
What happened in January?
January, those judgmental Judases at the MTV, they should be called NTV for Narc Television, came out with probably one of the worst bits of journalism on the drug war. No mercy for us, no dignity.
I was on that.
Well, you were interviewed, but they made it seem like you were hurting people and that people in jail were being looked after, and it's not true. So yeah, check that out. By the way, folks, all this can be seen in the news archives at the Pot TV News. You just click on all the old shows there. And we had 2.5 million shows viewed in 1.5 years recently, so someone's watching too. So anyway, that was January. February.
By the way, you can see that the behind-the-scenes thing. Prince of Pot is on MTV. We filmed them filming me, so you can see sort of the raw footage.
Yeah.
And then we probably actually have that MTV show on, do we?
Well, we'll put clicks below. Just check out the info below. We'll include
the part
all those.
Where I blow a big, huge THC smoke-filled bomber at the host of the show was good.
Well, we'll include that.
She must have got a contact high there, but she was basically sympathetic to the narcs all the time.
Well, yeah, we'll show a bit of that.
Okay,
there.
and then what else happened? That was it. That was the only good thing.
Well, we're just there's so many things happening.
Okay.
I mean, lots of raids, lots of hassles, lots of bad reports, and a few good reports coming out. But basically, the highlights. February was the ferocious sort of persecution that our friends Dennis Prone, Ed Rosenthal, and Jim Wakeford were facing in their various court battles.
Yeah, what is Dennis lost his kind of appeal to use medical marijuana defense in Utah. Now, the only thing is, because it happened in Utah, it won't be a 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing, because that would only be in California.
Oh, okay.
And he's got 2 strikes against him there, so to speak.
So he's just walking a thin line, but he's still out there.
So he has to go to court now without a medical marijuana defense in Utah.
Oh, that's pretty brutal. And Ed,
of course, is probably the most able to at least provide lawyers for himself, although fundraisers are afoot for that.
Yeah.
And his books still get promoted. And of course, he recently edited the latest issue of Heads magazine. The current issue of Heads is all edited by Ed Rosenthal. It's like wall to wall what Ed thinks about the movies, what Ed thinks about growing. It's an all Ed issue, and Ed's a regular contributor to Cannabis Culture. So he's been busy while facing 5 to 10 years incarceration for allegedly growing many clones for a medical marijuana outlet in San Francisco.
Yeah, and then Jim Wakeford, his appeal was dismissed. He was back in court. He was going through the rigmarole, so to speak.
When we say appeal, what do we mean, Jim Wakeford? What was he appealing?
I believe he was trying to get the right to provide for himself enough plants or growing for others or something to that
But
effect.
he can do that already, though. So there's something.
I know.
We're not getting the whole story on this.
Well, check, like I said, the details are available.
Because in Canada, all the court cases have been very sympathetic to every medical user. Like, things are much different here than they have been in the United States. Judges have been very sympathetic. The Cubbies are a good example where not only they're getting their equipment and their plants, but the Cubbies are demanding financial restitution for the pot they had to go buy.
Right.
All their own pot was taken away. And good luck to them in that. But in Canada, we're moving in a much more positive direction.
There's occasional
Did you see
exceptions.
that
So Ted got raided, and the Toronto people got raided.
Yeah,
and
but Ted's still at large after being raided 3 or 4 times.
Well, you know, in Canada, we can survive our raids a little more easily than...
That's true. Also, did you notice that in the paper today, the safe injection sites, about 40% of the population actually supports giving the crack cocaine and heroin to the addicts at the safe consumption site, which is incredibly enlightened point of view.
Well, yeah, it's moving towards...
You got 40% of the people, because the question was phrased, in order to cut down on property crime, do you support giving the drugs that these addicts need for free? And 40% said yes. That's a pretty amazing and enlightened approach that Vancouver people have.
Yeah.
And so fortunately we are ensconced in probably the most broad-minded jurisdiction after San Francisco, or maybe even over San Francisco in North America. That's just today's news. Okay, what happened in March?
Okay, March was Mark raid.
Oh yeah, they raided my home in Victoria. Yeah. And it's probably the best raid ever, in the sense that it was the first time I didn't have to go to jail, B, there was nothing going on, so it was a complete fishing expedition to see what I was doing in my home. I love how they could have come at 4 o'clock, one guy knock on the door, Mark, here's a warrant, can we enter your home? Yeah, sure, what am I going to do? Flush the light bulbs down the toilet if you've got to grow up? Anyway, they call you at 3:30 in the morning, ring, 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 and then I answer the phone, they go, Mark Emery? Yes. This is the Victoria Police, we have your house surrounded. Just like the movies. And then they ordered me to walk out in my underwear, and there's 8 big burly cops, a black guy, a Chinese guy, a woman. It's a totally multiracial Nazi force there. And they basically said that we had to grow up, which we didn't. So they came in, and they're all sad and depressed when they walked out. And then we got on the media the next day on TV and radio, and we were able to humiliate them.
They found a roach, and that's about it.
No, they said they smelled pot coming from my windows as they walked by 5 days
But
earlier.
They didn't find seeds or scents.
No, we made a deal with our landlord not to smoke in the house, so we blow it out the windows if we're smoking.
So they didn't find all.
It was actually our neighbor's a cop, and he called
Well, they lost.
That was raid number 5, so it was,
blew back
it was
in
the most
face.
easy to digest of the raids I've had on.
Now, this was all going on when the drug terror ads were just launched in February, too.
Those in America?
Yeah, that was a Super Bowl, right?
So buy a joint, and you're supporting Osama bin Laden.
Harmless, or that sort of stuff. So that was just going on.
And then that's the beginning of the bad times for the Americans this year.
Yeah, and then just jump right on over to May. You go to we had. April was planning.
Oh, May was a great month.
Right, because you had the Tokers Bowl, the Ideas Conference, the Liberation Day rally.
Tokers Bowl was great. It's already sold out for 2003 coming up, and it's going to be awesome. We had wonderful theme note, 1001 Arabian Nights, naked body painted women. I love that part, and I got to have all these acolytes and servants and servant girls all painted naked in my little Pasha's harem there at that restaurant.
We were hedonauts.
Yeah, that's right.
We were hedonauts.
We went out on a boat out at sea here, and that was great. We were allowed to smoke in the boat, and we went Million Marijuana March. All these Americans came up. It must have felt weird when Americans were going with us to a protest at the U.S. consulate.
Yeah,
probably all hid their faces.
Well, you know. We might have to change it around to whoever's bothering us.
But the Tokers
next.
Bowl was actually an idea that came out of the Prohibitionists had a conference, a real disaster PR-wise, called the Ideas Conference. Yeah. And not only did we make complaints to the police board that illegal activities were going on with these police, but it turned out to be a total PR disaster for the Prohibitionists, as they wouldn't let any journalists in unless you were certified as prohibitionist.
Yeah, they managed to give the journalists so much of a hard time.
So
they didn't get one good review.
Yeah, so the journalists just savaged them, and that was how we decided to come up with the idea for Tokers Bowl and the big, huge brouhaha that now will be an annual event in the first weekend.
You want to have a conference? We can conference too.
Yeah.